I'm Jan Adams, chair of the Morehouse College Provost Search. I'm delighted to introduce you to and to talk today with Dr. Kendrick Brown, the next Provost of Morehouse College. Dr. Brown, welcome and thank you for meeting with me today.
Thank you.
Why are you choosing to come to Morehouse College at this time?
You know, as I think about this opportunity to join Morehouse, I think of the choices that I had to make in terms of how I've lived or how I've gone along in my profession and where I'd like to go. And as I encountered Morehouse and learned more about Morehouse, of course, knowing the reputation of Morehouse, I thought this is a place where I could continue my commitment to a liberal arts education. I could engage in the work that is so meaningful for me that I've done since I've been a graduate student, looking at the experiences, understanding the experiences of Black people and people of color. And as I pull all that together, I think this opportunity to come to Morehouse, to be at Morehouse, it is at the right time. It takes advantage of all of what I've learned. It allows me to have an impact in a way that I know will be meaningful and will improve the experiences of Black students learning at Morehouse, and also will enable me to work with world-class faculty and outstanding staff and administrators. So for me, choosing to come to Morehouse just makes perfect sense for where I am and where I want to see myself going and where I hope Morehouse will go in the future too.
How do you foresee working with faculty and staff when you join the college?
For me, in the time that I've been an administrator, I've always thought of faculty and staff as really being the heart of the institution. And in particular for faculty, there are so many diverse perspectives that folks bring to the table. Individuals have thoughts that really can benefit the institution. So my job becomes being able to listen to people, being able to take in those different perspectives and then arrive at something that will help Morehouse, the institution, going forward. I also have a lot of respect for the staff because staff are educators as well. They have opportunities to interact with students in and outside of the classroom that contribute to their education. And so for me, being able to respect the role that staff have and then also understand the ways in which they contribute to that education we want students to have is very important. When you bring both groups together, faculty and staff, you really are talking about a holistic approach to educating students and enabling them to grow into the kind of opportunities we want them to have both while they're at Morehouse and also when they leave the institution too.
Wonderful. You mentioned students, and that's really what I was thinking about as well. How will you ensure that students stay in the center of all we do at Morehouse?
You know, I learned a lesson from a very good mentor for me several years ago. And what that mentor told me was that no matter what kind of administrative work you do, never forget that the heart of the institution, the purpose of the institution is the students. And so what I've learned over the years is to ask a very simple question, no matter what the decision is or what the issue might be. And that simple question is, how will this affect students? Whether it is hiring a faculty member or thinking about a program, making hard decisions about the allocation of resources, it all needs to come back to that question. So for me, students are always at the center of that question. In addition, I try to stay grounded with students. I know that I have a lot of meetings as an administrator, but I try to at least be able to say, go to lunch, to a space where students are where they are and be able to connect with them, or in some way try to invite student government leadership to meet with me on a regular basis. It's just as a provost, you don't want to get too disconnected from students or other parts of the institution. So to me, that helps me to keep that center, if you will, center of gravity for what Morehouse should be, what any institution should be.
Lovely. Well, you've already talked about a little bit about your leadership style and the way that you want to keep communication open and build relationships. But I'd like you to talk a little bit more about how you will lead here, or what the Morehouse community should know about you as a leader.
I think something that's important to keep in mind in thinking about my leadership is that my research, most current research, is on the perception of allies. And it asks the question not of the individual who wants to be an ally, but of the people who are perceiving the ally who wants to be of support to them. So it flips things and asks the other person to judge and to evaluate the person who's seeking to be an ally. The reason why that's an important piece for my leadership is that I don't think of myself solely as a leader who will make decisions, who will engage in particular actions without being aware of what the concerns are and what the perception would be from those who are affected by those decisions. That doesn't mean, of course, I still, of course, will make a decision. I'll make a hard decision if I need to, but it will always be informed by trying to understand and, to the extent possible, trying to build consensus to move forward in a way that makes sense. So my leadership style is one that takes in a lot of information, tries to integrate as best possible, and then asks, is this the best for students and for the institution going forward?
Thank you. You've talked a little bit about how you make decisions, how you engage faculty and staff, the style, sort of a consensus building style to engage the community and to work in collaboration. And all of that sounds wonderful. And it brings me to the next question, which is, what is it that you hope to achieve during your time as provost at Morehouse College?
I think a lot of what I'm hoping to achieve is informed by the moment that we're experiencing. Prior to the pandemic, of course, the emphasis primarily was on face-to-face instruction and the ways in which we can ensure that students get the best education possible in that physical space that we all shared. Now we're in a place where we're trying our best to foster communication virtually, mediated by computers and by laptops. The thing that's interesting for me is I believe we are learning lessons right now that we will take with us after this period is over and the pandemic is under control. So we may learn that the way that we taught certain things, the certain kinds of activities in which we engaged in the classroom, they might work better if we do them online. There's no reason why we can't learn the lessons of now and apply them and enhance what we do. So my goal, one of my goals as provost, is to ensure that Morehouse comes out of this experience with a style, with a way of connecting with students that takes advantage of what, of course, Morehouse has been good at, the face-to-face instruction, but also integrates in the lessons learned from virtual instruction that might make us more likely to open up a space for certain kinds of conversations in the classroom. That's one major piece of it. Another piece is thinking about Morehouse and the kind of education offered, and are there other groups of people that we can also educate. Now, what I mean by that is I don't take away from the strengths. There always will be the core of the undergraduate education that we have, but we have an opportunity to connect with folks who are beyond those typical undergraduate years and offer them something that hopefully would be convenient for them, but still give them a sense of a Morehouse education and how it can improve lives. So to me, those two pieces are really big in terms of what I'd like to do. There are other things, but those two really grab my attention.
Your last comment really reflects one of President Thomas's strategic goals, which is Morehouse Beyond Borders. This idea of not only how we can positively impact the community and nation and make a global impact, but how we bring people into the Morehouse experience and share that more widely. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. So I have one last question, and it's more of a fun question. I'd like to know something about you that maybe your colleagues at the University of Redlands didn't know when you came, that's something that you might share with us to help us to get to know you better?
At one point I told folks that I'm an early riser, but I don't think they understood exactly what I meant until they started receiving email announcements and other things dated about 5 o'clock in the morning and 5:30. That I think took them a little off guard. They also wondered, all right, is he going to burn out? Actually, that's just the way I work. I get up, I think about things, and even before I have breakfast, I'm on email and making sure I connect and get emails out and all the rest of that. To me, that's making sure I have the time to focus on when people need something from me or if I need to get something else out. But I admit that some folks were worried in those first 6 months, whoa, is he going to be able to keep this up? And I've been consistent in these years that I've been in this position. So that was something they learned and they adapted to, even though they continue to have fun, make fun of me getting up.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or to share with us before we close out?
Sure. What I would like to say is I am excited by this opportunity. I look forward to joining the community. I think that I can bring something to Morehouse that will help the college to do what it does best. I believe that I can learn a lot from Morehouse as well and gain respect and have even deeper respect for what happens at Morehouse. And I just want to say I'm looking forward to meeting everyone in the Morehouse community, be it virtually or in person. That connection to me is going to be what fuels my passion for being at Morehouse and doing everything I can to ensure that what the future holds for Morehouse is bright.
Oh, Dr. Brown, thank you so much for your time today. We are delighted to welcome you to Morehouse College and excited for all of the wonderful work ahead.
Thank you.